Cup Series goes to Richmond. IndyCar goes to Texas. Formula One goes down under with a crazy show talking about our live stream. This is FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Flock.
Erik Richardson.
I'll be honest with you. I told you before we hit record. Didn't catch much of the Richmond race. This what I did catch wasn't too terribly exciting.
Yeah, I watched a good chunk of it, and really, the first two stages there wasn't a whole lot going on. It's not until stage number 3 that it starts to pick up,
I'm honestly
and
off the
we've seen it time and again now.
top of my head. I don't even know who won.
Kyle Larson,
Oh,
geez.
Larson. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was kind of a
And
snooze
Josh
fest.
Berry got second.
He did. That was good for him, and it was a lot of kudos to him for he had a rough start. They're not letting him do the road courses so far. I mean, it's only been one, but now pretty short leash for him for his audition and some top tier equipment. And if he didn't make the most of this after his adjustment period, he probably never sees another sprint cup. Wow.
Been a while since that one.
I've been looking at some old Gen 4 stuff today and car tomorrow, and yeah, Sprint Cup. Wow. Yeah, it wouldn't get another Cup Series ride. It's kind of weird that they still haven't had a title sponsor in a few years.
Well, and I guess the air louvers aren't helping Hendrick at all,
Nope,
because
nope.
apparently they're still out front. And Will Byron was up there until he got wrecked out.
Yes, he did. I did catch that.
And Chastain is in it again. Some of Christopher Bell.
Well, I don't know if that was
But
necessarily Chastain's fault. Have you seen
no,
the memes this week that they're blaming
yeah,
Chastain?
it's blame Chastain for everything.
And there was like Chastain caused, then they started to get a little on the tasteless side. They started off really funny, and then it's like, oh, okay, I don't know about
Yeah,
Chastain killing Dale Earnhardt was that
but
crossed the line into tasteless. Um, but yeah, Cup Series got the Bristol Dirt Race coming up.
yeah, we'll be watching that one. That one's usually entertaining. 10 laps of green and then caution.
And then caution. And then at the
10 laps
end, you see
green.
somebody really trying to chase somebody down on the dirt, and
Was it 2 years ago? Chase Briscoe
it
just
was last year. Yeah, or
that was last year, wasn't it?
yeah, Briscoe took out Tyler Reddick and Kyle Busch came by and took the win, and it was just like, well, I'll take it. He's like, I wasn't he knew he had no chance of winning, and that just I mean the crazy thing about the dirt race is you just see everybody on that lower line as that race goes on, and then you see it just start to clear off just a little bit, that you can start to see the pavement appear. And but yeah, it's different. NASCAR's trying some things just like they are with the
This is
Chicago
gonna be
street
what,
race.
year 3 or 4 of the dirt
Yeah,
race.
I think it's year 3. The thing is, like, I know they didn't stop running it during the day because the dirt and the dust from the dirt was just blowing everywhere, and like people are like coughing and choking up a storm, so they moved it to the night. But did they ever actually run the race during the day?
I think the very first one they did.
Yeah, it's just I remember that being just a total disaster, and now they've been doing it at night. And a couple of weeks ago, Josh Williams, and they put a sign in the dirt at the start finish line that said like Josh Williams parking here.
I did
after
see that.
after his little bit at Atlanta. But yeah, I mean Bristol Dirt should be interesting.
Oh, it's always fun when you take a drink of water and it goes down the wrong
Oh
pipe.
yeah.
No,
Yep.
excuse me.
Pause, timeout.
I promise it's just water. It's not Malort.
It's not Malort, it's not Michelob Ultra.
So maybe we'll actually get an entertaining race this weekend, but who knows?
I mean, it'll be chaotic.
Yeah.
Chaotic and entertaining sometimes go hand in hand.
The
Sometimes
way
it's
the
like,
season is going, I'll take it. Is the races are just running green, and then we have
well,
five cautions in the last 12 laps, and 3 overtimes at Coda.
And Kurt Busch getting visibly annoyed on the broadcast. So yeah, they got to do something about that. It's
I'm okay if you do that with like a short track like Bristol, Richmond, Martinsville. When you got a 3+ mile track, give it one go and call it.
they talked about like the change with the stage racing on the road courses where they're not throwing a caution to kind of speed things up. And they're like, what if we do that at ovals? Like, well, if you do that at ovals, then you're back to pre-stage racing. It's like, okay, you're just giving people bonus points for hitting checkpoints, but you're back to just one long continuous green flag race. I mean, plus cautions, but you don't have those stage breaks anymore. So it's like, is it time to undo the stages? Like, is that really that much of a problem?
Well, kind of where I would go. Get rid of stage breaks, get rid of this playoff system. Let's just race it out.
So like, the question, like, I get it, but I don't. With the whole switching to stage breaks a few years ago and trying to reward that consistency, and you had these guys, especially on these like plate tracks, that are just kind of hanging in the back the whole time and avoiding the chaos, and then they with like 20 laps to go make their charge to the front, and that super boring, I guess. But I mean, was that a change that really needed to be made to add the stage breaks?
No.
I didn't think so. I don't think so either.
I think all the changes that they've done are a relation to the attendance that we're also seeing at the races.
So the next question is, you look at Formula One, and now, with the exception of this weekend or this last weekend, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, Formula One has been pretty disciplined about, they're not short, but they're very disciplined about time. Obviously they have the advantage of, if it's not raining too terribly hard, they can run in the rain. NASCAR has some of those mile packages now. They can run in the rain on the road courses. But do you need to shorten the races? Are they too long?
I think it's the same question that we're getting with baseball right now. It's just people, you can watch a 10-second TikTok and find out everything that happened, so you don't need to sit for 4.5 hours and watch cars go.
I mean, on I won't lie, on a typical race, it doesn't matter what series it is. I'll turn on, I'll watch the start. I'll be in and out of the room. I mean, I can't sit there for 4 hours on a Saturday or a Sunday and watch the race. I mean, I'll catch the highlights later. I'll watch it while I'm eating lunch. I'll watch it, in the afternoon. I've got it on the TV up here. But honestly, with the exception of last weekend, that's the first time I think I've sat start to finish to watch an entire race in quite a while. It's been at least since I've had kids. Even during the Indy 500, I get up and walk away for a while. I mean, I can't sit there, especially since you're watching 3 races in one day, including the longest Cup Series race of the year.
Well, I think the racing's just changed so much also. You remember what it was back in like late 90s, early 2000s? There was action and drama through the entire race.
Right.
There was something going on, but now they're not running.
Well, and you also hear too about these like older races where it's like, oh, so and so won, they lapped the field and they won by 4 minutes or something crazy, like Max Verstappen numbers now. That's not happening anymore. I mean, I don't know.
It's that it's close racing, but with the stage breaks and all that, I think it's keeping everything too bunched up, and then they just run, and then as they get to the end, then it's, oh, we need to race.
It's ironic that you have the world's fastest sports of auto racing, that you're moving the fastest, and they take among like you mentioned, baseball take among the longest to do, and us as a society, if we move so fast as a society now compared to in the 90s, that we just don't have the attention span to sit through a 500-mile race anymore. And I mean, I even the hardcore fans, like there's so few people that if you went and asked 100 people of the most hardcore fans in NASCAR, you ask 100 people, how many of you sit on the couch and watch every moment of the action, minus a bathroom break or a trip to the refrigerator here and there, but actually watch pretty much the entire race?
If I was able to,
Well, I
I
think
would
that's part of the
enjoy
problem.
nothing more.
I think that's part of the problem is that, like, yeah, if I was able to, I would absolutely do it. For the most part, my focus starts to wane after a while that I have to get up and walk away and go do something different for a little bit. But it's I don't think you'd find many people that say, yeah, I will sit down and dedicate 4 hours of my Sunday afternoon to watch a Cup Series race in April at uh at Richmond. I just don't think you would.
So here's where I think that is. I've if there's action on track, I will stay glued. But seeing some of the running that they've done,
Yes,
this is where I'm having a hard time with Formula One right now. There's no passing, they're just running out the laps and then checkered flag.
You have occasional incident, you have occasional car catch on fire. I mean, we'll get into this here in a little bit, but man, last week was the exception to the rule, at least recently. And it was exciting. I mean, some of the chaos wouldn't have happened. Max would have, run away with that. He was in the process of running away from that, and the chaos brought it back. And fortunately, it was an anticlimactic ending. But we'll talk about that here in a bit. IndyCar, Texas.
It was a much different race than what I thought it'd be.
That was the best Texas race in many years, in my opinion.
I did call one thing though.
And that was
Initials DD. Luckily, Graham Rahal was okay after that wreck.
Yeah.
Still have no clue what was going on there.
They never did show an extended replay. It just looked like he just drifted up the track for some unknown reason, and Graham just plowed right into him.
One thing I saw, maybe he was trying to get into pit lane or get down, but drove too fast and shot it back across. I don't know. I never really did see a clear picture of it either.
So let's see. I'm looking at the wrong year. I was looking at a highlight article about the Texas race, and the French Mr. DD, we'll just call him that. I had the article from last year's race up, and there was an article about him taking out Graham Rahal, the Texas race, 2 years in a row. Oh man. But the good news though is it was exciting. There was like 1,000 passes in that race. Pato O'Ward like lapped the entire field, and things kind of fell back in line again, which could have been boring. But again, that's why, yeah, 1,070 on-track passes with 27 lead changes is the official number from this weekend.
Yeah, it was a great race. Getting that high line starting to run a little bit more, and I think you mentioned it, Jimmie Johnson showing you can do it.
Yep, and that high line practice I think helped too. Getting cars out there for a half hour to just run laps on that high line and get some rubber down on the track. It it definitely made a difference. I mean, you saw some of them who got too aggressive struggled when they went up there, but again, patience. There was a lot of good moves. David Malukas, by the way, 4th place. Good.
Yeah,
He's currently sitting 6th in the points with his HMD Motorsports / Dale Coyne ride. That's good for him.
I was really looking forward to those last couple laps to see if a Ward could make a move on Newgarden, but then caution came out.
And
So that was
Newgarden
disappointing.
is man, that guy is probably one of the more underrated drivers in the series. Like, I mean, he's a past champion for starters, but like you hear people list off the top drivers in the last several years, and does he ever get named? I mean, Scott Dixon is one of the top people that get listed
He's
every
a
time.
quiet superstar of IndyCar.
I mean, he just quietly goes about his business. He wins. He's won
And
championships.
he was the one that won that $1 million for winning on a road course, a street course, and an oval last year. So I looked it up out of curiosity. Last year, DeFrancesco was a rookie. His best finish was 12th at Gateway, but consistently in that like 17, 18, or 20th place plus. And so far, 2 races this year, 2 DNFs.
Yep. So Newgarden has run 183 races in 12 years, has 48 podiums, 26 wins. That's not
Pretty good
bad.
numbers.
That is not bad. We see here. He's actually a 2-time champion in the league. He also won the Indy Lights in 2011. I mean, listen to this. So he started off with Sam Schmidt Motorsports, and then he was with Sarah Fisher Hartman, which, smaller team, not as much resources there. Schmidt, was Indy Lights, but his first IndyCar ride was 3 years at Sarah Fisher, which was 23, 14th, and 13th. CFH Racing was it was a merger between Sarah Fisher Hartman and Ed Carpenter Racing that I completely forgot about. That didn't seem to last because the next year was Ed Carpenter Racing, but under CFH, he moved up to 7th. He went to Ed Carpenter, finished 4th in 2016. And then after that, he went to Penske, and here's his years at Penske. 1st, 5th, 1st, 2nd, 2nd. Currently sitting 2nd in the standings. I mean, yeah, he's a Penske driver, but still, like,
you're gonna have the equipment there.
You're gonna have the equipment, but still, like, you still have to produce on track. You can have all the equipment in the world, and if you can't drive worth a crap, doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, the guy's 4 years. No, okay. So the last 6 years, his worst was 5th, and that was one time. Every other year, he was 2nd or 1st, and he's a 2-time champion.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's just that guy doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah, great race this weekend. Got another fun one coming up.
He has not won Indy yet, though. He's come close a couple of times. He had a 3rd some years back.
He's had a little bit of a rough go, I want to say, with Indy.
Yeah. So 13th last year, 12th, 5th in 2020 in that delayed race, 4th the year before, 8th, 19th, 3rd in 2016 with Ed Carpenter. I think that's probably what got Penske's attention, was that 9th didn't 30th, 28th, and 25th. So yeah, like that's what it is. He needs an Indy win, I think, for people to really start talking. Because if he can pull that off, he's done it all otherwise. I mean, he just doesn't have he also hasn't been around as long as Scott Dixon has.
No, looking at this, actually kind of a cool fact about Devlin DeFrancesco. He's born 15 weeks premature
Oh,
and
wow.
only weighed a pound. Doctors didn't
Wow.
expect him to survive and actually given last rites, at least according to Wikipedia.
Wow. I did not know that, dude. It's only 23.
So that's pretty cool.
I mean, that's
Glad to see him out
us.
there.
And the thing is, my kids were born 10 weeks premature. I mean, I know what that's like. I mean, 15 is, yeah. I mean, there was I don't let's say near miss, where my kids were almost born about 15 weeks premature, and it was almost a guarantee that one would not have survived at that point. And we were able to hold it off and hold it another 5 weeks to get it down to the 10 weeks. So, and that once you pass that 30-week mark, um, it's usually a much more pleasant discussion with the doctors, because literally we had the same conversation with the same doctor 5 weeks apart, or 4 weeks apart, where he literally came in and said, like, yeah, this is, hold out as long as you can because this is not good. We come back at week 30, he's like, it goes, I don't know if you remember me or not. I'm like, oh no, we definitely
No, we do.
remember. We definitely remember you. And he's like, well, we're gonna have a much more pleasant conversation today. And like, when your kids are gonna be small, they're gonna be here for a while, which was about 3 months. But you know, knock on wood, there's no, once you get across that 30-week milestone, you can breathe a little bit easier. And obviously that's not a guarantee or anything like that, but it's just, yeah, I know that pain firsthand, and it's just that was probably the 4 or 5 scariest weeks of my life. So I mean, I feel for that family. I know exactly what that's like. Well, not exactly, but almost exactly what that's like. So I mean, good for him, and just he needs to step it up though on the track. And it's just not a very impressive showing so far in
It
his
was actually a Daytona 24 winner in 2022.
class win.
Um, yeah, I believe so. Didn't say
Yep.
which class.
He did win a F3 championship in 2017. But anyway, good news is attendance seemed to be up at Texas. TV ratings were down just a little bit, but
I can tell you,
TV,
I was glued to the TV on that
yeah,
one.
it was a good one. I mean, I was I was thrilled, number one, because it's just I'm with Tony George on this one. Tony George was so anti road courses. And when you had the split back in the 90s and you had kart going and they were majority road courses, Tony George is like, I want none of that. We are an oval. We want to be our own thing. We want to see those cars on the oval. We want to hear the fast driving, the loud noises from the car. This is an oval series, and I love these cars on the ovals. And it just
They're
unfortunately
fun.
hasn't produced some of the best racing in the last few years, but they need a couple more ovals on this schedule. I would
So, yeah,
totally trade some of those those. The other one too is Watkins Glen. They get them back to Watkins Glen. I think that would be a lot of fun too.
no, Chicagoland would be a great spot for the Indy cars.
Yeah, I don't know why they. I mean, I think NASCAR owns that track, and NASCAR is basically blocked out Indy, which is weird to me because Roger Penske owns IndyCar. Roger also, he's got his teams in NASCAR. He's been in NASCAR. He's heavily influential in NASCAR. Can't you cut a deal to let them back on some of these tracks? I mean, yeah, that some of these tracks have been set up not, they're set up for NASCAR. They're not set up for open wheel Indy cars. I mean, you can't go and, for example, iRacing for some reason loves to put the Delara Dash on Daytona. That would be a death trap for the
That would be a nightmare.
that would be a death trap. I think the only time they ever tested open wheel cars at Daytona in just a test environment, I think somebody died, if I remember correctly.
I think the big reason why they started to step away from the ovals in the Indy cars, well, two, the Kenny Breck wreck at Texas and then Dan Weldon at Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but it's a different car. It's a safer car. I think they could make it work.
That halo is a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can make it work. And I think the racing's better. And as we've said it before, IndyCar's marketing in the past has sucked. Their social media presence has sucked. And the promotion at these various cities outside of these special events has sucked. I mean, you know, the racing at Texas hasn't been great until this year. It was okay last year. It was great this year. The attendance is back, you know, was up a bit. I don't know what they did differently. I mean, obviously Rogers and his crews had a little bit of time to come in there and change things up. And IndyCar has a revamped social media team. They have a new marketing director that stepped in this year. So, you know, maybe that's a direct result of that. I don't know.
They need to find a way to get a little bit better racing at Indianapolis.
Yes.
In the oval, because it's too hard. When you get a car to pass, it takes you 3 laps to get back up to even have a shot. So it's taken away some really good finishes.
Yes, indeed. Ugh.
And then again, Jimmie Johnson showed Iowa you can run many lines there.
Oh, he was scaring the crap out of people. I mean, I honestly, like, you know, obviously Jimmie doesn't have the experience or the skill that a lot of these open wheel drivers did, but I mean, I think his impact is going to be felt for years because of his, you know, courage to go out there at Texas and go out there at Iowa and really push those cars to the limit. That it wasn't just follow the leader around Iowa anymore. I mean, he's going up on that higher line and you know, you're Townsend Bell in the broadcast booth going, ooh. I mean, that's just,
some of those were a little risky, but he made it work.
He made it work. And, you know, the guy won 7 championships in the Cup Series. Guy knows how to drive. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, like we said, still want to see how they do in Garage 56.
If Jensen Button doesn't have a doesn't faint in the car.
Oh, he learned a lot that race, though.
Oh yeah, he had a newfound respect for stock car driving, and I'm sure the Formula One fan, you know, the anti-oval snobs, we'll call them, I'm sure hated those comments. But
and real quick before we jump into the big discussion, open wheel series last night.
Yes, indeed. Can't broadcast it. I mean, we got a little clip here and there. We got some screenshots, but had a small field. Because apparently people want to be broadcasted. I don't know why. I mean, you know, if you like driving the cars, who cares if you're broadcasted? I mean, cool.
Man, I had
that's some of the best. That's some of the best racing I've seen on the platform. In an oval environment, and you basically have 3 guys running in the front the whole time.
Yeah, myself, Brian McKinney, and Tyler Vickery are one of our season champions with Wednesday Night Dash. Brian's now a regular there too.
You know, and Brian, man, he knows how to drive that car. Tough. He knows how to drive that car. I mean, we caught him in a Dallara Dash one time, and I mean, we know he has some experience driving those open wheel cars, but you could tell, like, he knows how to drive that car, and he was phenomenal. I mean, it's, you know, it's a bummer somebody had to finish 3rd and 2nd out of that group, but your little courageous move at the end.
Oh, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was talking with Taka earlier today that if that lane hadn't opened up, I was maybe just going to gung-ho yeet it down on the apron and just spin it out, because I was going to be 3rd no matter what.
I tell you what, I had the broadcast, or not broad, it wasn't a broadcast.
No,
So
I was streaming from
it
my
was
point of
your
view.
in-car view on my, the Twitch feed. I had it on my TV above my head here, and I'm standing right here, just arms crossed, standing there watching this last lap. I was getting the kids ready for bed. That's why, it's tough for me to do multiple events a week, but I so wanted to be there, and I can't make it work right now regularly. But I'm standing here, arms crossed, and I'm just like, well, you gotta move now. It's final lap, go, 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 go. And you just see that opening just kind of form, and you're just like, I'm gonna thread that needle.
Well, if you watch, I started moving down to the left, but as soon as that opened, I was just going for it. But I ended up 23 thousandths of a second off of first, and Brian was 42 thousandths off of
Thousands,
first.
yeah. It's just, and the thing is, there's something so satisfying about running a drama-free race with just good quality, respectful racing. You have a good, strong finish with multiple cars. I mean, there's something that's just so satisfying about that, to get through, and people aren't yelling at each other. It's
And
just so enjoyable.
I don't know how much you picked up, but after we crossed the line, we were all like, "Whoa, what just happened?"
Yeah, you guys are laughing, and I'm standing here with my phone texting you, show the replay, and you're like, all right, we'll see you next week. I'm like, no, stop, don't do it. And but yeah, you cut the stream off, and we put it up on Instagram this morning, and yeah, go check that out. It was good.
Mine, Wildcat Racing, I have the in-car view. I think I have the gyro view of that last lap, and then on FR Racing Online, we
We
have
put
the
we
TV
put
view.
the TV view, not a broadcast. So, and then I kind of sniped at IndyCar on Twitter today. Feel a little snarky. I posted the screenshot of the finish, and I said, see, we couldn't broadcast this. Look what you missed, because IndyCar went to somewhere else. And I got a little bit of a response from it. I think people are hopefully motorsport game. I mean, obviously you don't want people losing their jobs and stuff, but hopefully IndyCar comes to their senses. And
Yes.
I think rumors are that because of the delay pushing the game into 2024, I think Indy has an out there. At least it's rumored that they can terminate the contract with Motorsport Games because it was delayed out of 2023. Rumors. No, I haven't seen the contract. I'm going off of what I've heard. You got to give them a chance to finish, obviously. I'm sure there's probably some kind of fee that they have to pay to break it, and it probably goes down over time. Or if, the next delay probably, the penalty for breaking is probably pretty low after that. So I just can't see a possibility where we ever see a finished product there. And if it is, it's going to be a pile of garbage.
It's probably going to be arcade style too, and just not anything quality.
And the thing too is like, oh, iRacing PC, but they released the World of Outlaws as a console game. That seemed, I mean, I'm not a console gamer anymore. It seems like it's gotten pretty good feedback. If you want a console game to reach a broader audience, I mean, the people, they're not going to hose you like Motorsports Games is about to do. But you know what? It's not my decision to make. Glad I don't have to be put in that position on to when to terminate a contract. So the people that get paid a lot of money get to make that decision. Have fun.
Yeah, good luck.
Formula One. We
We saw something that we have not seen in a very long time.
well, let's back it up. So we went live. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. We went live, and I did some testing. The testing was fine. We go live, and apparently there's some security setting in these newer Macs that when you're passing sound from Zoom over to OBS or any system sounds, it doesn't pass. It gets blocked. And Erik, for the first 20 minutes of the stream is just me like troubleshooting. And finally I just say, like this is boring. No one's gonna watch this. And like 15 people actually tuned into our technical problem stream. So we end up killing the stream. I start digging around. I'm trying all kinds of different things. And ultimately I figure out, oh, I'm like 2 major versions behind on OBS. And allegedly they fixed that problem, or they found a workaround. And we updated OBS, made some slight settings changes, and we went live and we were up and running again, which was great because
We didn't miss anything.
we didn't miss anything because we went red flag at lap 8 after George Russell and Carlos Sainz had pit, free red flag, and then lost a bunch of positions, and then George Russell's car caught on fire. And we actually got back up and running shortly after the race had resumed. So we lost all that time, but no harm, no foul, and we got it going. It's good. We ran our stream after that, and pretty uneventful. You saw a lot of fastest lap changing hands between laps about 40 and 55 or so. And then lap 56 happened, where we had, what was it, Kevin Magnussen lost one of his wheels.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, and that was the first red flag, or I guess the second red flag. And so we're sitting around here. I'm drinking my.
Who ran off into the gravel? Is that brought out the first one?
Was it Alex Albon?
Might have been Albon.
There was there's also the memes of Charles Leclerc ends up out on lap 1, and they showed this fan saying, they flew from like Argentina to Australia to watch him, and they hold up the sign that says, I flew 16,000 kilometers to watch you, and somebody photoshopped it to say DNF. Oh man, poor Ferrari. But yeah, we
too easy right now.
We red flag. We're sitting there killing time. Get lined back up. We got another our third standing start. I incorrectly called it the second because I completely spaced the fact while I was troubleshooting OBS that there was a second standing start. I think they said it was only the 5th time that they had 3 standing starts in a single race, which is kind of a crazy stat. But yeah, and if you saw our Instagram reel, you saw our reaction when we saw live after that third standing start, and with Erik prefacing, do they make it through turn 1? And I just kind of went, I don't know. Well, they didn't.
Nope. And that was the Formula One equivalent of the big one at Talladega.
Yeah. You had Carlos Sainz shove Alonso. I thought Alonso was out, but apparently he got it. Well, not apparently, he got himself going again. I went back. I told you this. I went back and was watching the in-car with the uncensored radio after Alonso was spun out, and he got back on the track, and he just hits. You see his thumb go down to the radio button, and he just goes, "Hey!" And then because he went from podium down to like 14th or something like that after. And then Lance Stroll goes flying off the track on turn 3 into the rocks. And because of the red flag and where the incident first happened, I believe the rule they said is that they just line back up in the same order that they did for the standing restart. So Sainz went from 3rd. He got a 5-second penalty, which pushed him all the way down to 12th because of essentially the safety car finish. Nico Hulkenberg was sitting 4th, and I think he fell to like 7th because of that, if I remember correctly. But
that whole finish was just
then you had Logan Sargent
crazy.
Run into the back of somebody, and he was a DNF. You see, had both Williams DNF. I mean, it was just, there was just so much chaos on that last lap that I just, you just lose track. But I think, didn't Checo go off the track too in turn one?
I believe so.
Oh yeah, and both Alpines took each other out. I almost forgot that. It looks like, I think Sargent crashed into Nick DeVries. That's who it was. But yeah, you started that third standing start with 17 or 16 cars, because Magnussen, Russell, Albon, Leclerc were all out. So you lose Sargent, you lose DeVries, you lose Ocon, you lose Gasly. So you lost 4 more. So you're down to 12 cars. Sainz gets his 5-second penalty, which pushes him to, the very last place. Someone was saying to Sainz, if he had a 5-second penalty and he was lined up for 4th or 3rd, that he should just kind of sandbag it. And as he, gets to that last stretch, then punch it. And that way you create the 5-second gap. So it's like you hold your spot, which I don't know if they would have, that probably would have been frowned upon. And they probably would have given him another penalty on top of that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You get a 5-second penalty and you're all running close like that. Like,
well, here's the thing is Verstappen to Sainz, or okay, we'll say to Valtteri Bottas, who is the actual last place car, because of the safety car finish, 11th place was 513 seconds behind Max. We have not had anything close to that ever, or not ever, but in a long time. But the other thing, I guess, you have Max, Lewis, Alonso on the podium, 3 world champions.
Yep.
Been a while. I think Seb was 3rd at some point a few years ago when that happened. Or no, was it like 2018, I think, or something like that was the last time they had 3 world champions on the podium together?
I actually couldn't tell you.
It's been a while. But yeah, you know what? That race finished after 3 a.m. your time. It was finished.
I think it was like what, 3:45?
Yeah. Like that race should have been over by like 2:30 at the latest your time. And yeah, we finally shut the stream down about 3:45. So how was your morning the next morning? I never did ask.
Oh, it was good. Nothing crazy.
I went to bed at like 1 a.m. and I was dying the next morning. I was just like, this sucks. Like I used to be able to like, oh, 1 a.m. that's nothing. And then I go to 1 a.m.
Yeah, I was up and ready to go for the IndyCar race.
Yeah, that was good. It's a good weekend of racing, minus the boring Richmond. If I would have predicted going into that weekend, which was going to be the boring between the Formula One Indy at Texas and NASCAR at Richmond, I would have got that completely wrong.
Yeah, I expected more of a crash fest at Indy based off last year. But it is a fun race to watch.
On that note, come race with Erik on Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, behind closed doors. We don't have a broadcast. The thing, though, is if they do lift that broadcast restriction, do you just still call it behind closed doors? Or do you have to rename the league?
I don't know. I think I might just keep it behind closed doors.
I think it'd be funny because it wouldn't make any sense at all at that point.
Like, why did you do this?
Closed doors for what? It's a joke. We'll tell you about it sometime, kid. Wednesday Night Dash, we got a new driver coming in. Actually, another driver out of Indiana. Caden announced Caden McAreevy's he's going to be sitting out this season. He's despises G3 cars, which I don't blame him. I'm starting to, in my practice, I'm getting extremely frustrated and kind of wondering why I agreed to this, but 8 races, we'll be back in something stock car related. So just have to survive.
Yeah, I'll probably just be learning how to drive road courses and just get better overall. I'm not going to be competitive. I already know that.
I think everybody's going out saying I'm not going to be competitive. So like,
It's going to be a really competitive season.
Well, no, I think you're going to have like two factions here. Is you're going to have like Tyler and Hunter and Mark Vickers up front all by themselves. And like you look at Justin Neves and Erik Blum and Brian McKinney have all said, "Oh, this is going to be completely new to me." It's completely new to me too. You at least have Daytona 24 experience.
Yeah, I have a couple races. So
I think you're going to have the three of them fighting it out all year, and the rest of us hanging out in the back and fighting for 10th place.
Yeah, looking at chats, it looks like I'm maybe for our first race at Lime Rock, and maybe a second off of what Mark and Hunter are running.
I'm like 3 seconds off of them, and I can't. I know why I'm 3 seconds off. I just can't figure out for the life of me 2 through 4. And Hunter's having the same problem. It's just he's already way faster than me through there. So if I can get 2 through 4 figured out.
Yeah, I've got a little bit figured there that I really like.
The only thing with Lime Rock, which could be interesting, or especially early on, is you get through turn 4 and you start heading down to the chicane, and that turns into a log jam, especially when it's early on. If you're not patient, it's just going to be like a repeat of the fountain at Long Beach. And if somebody's not paying attention, you're gonna have a big mess at that spot. But it's like, even if you do screw up turns 2 through 4 and fall behind, you're gonna, first couple laps, you're gonna catch right back up at waiting. Everybody's shifting down to first gear, cut through there. After it spaces out, just like the fountain turn at Long Beach, it'll move again.
Yeah, it should be a fun season. Something a little bit different. We'll see how it goes and keep going from there.
Again, I don't know why I agreed to this.
So we have officially have 2 series now behind closed doors. So if you want to run some open wheel, or if you're interested in some GT3s, come on out.
I'm going to throw this out here right now, because I think a lot of people race because, they like the group, they like the time, they like the model of, it's not a lot of time. Wednesday nights, like, when am I going to do it? 10 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday night anyway. But I'm kind of thinking we might next year, if we're going to go 3 seasons of 10 races, I think honestly, we might have to consider going, Cup or Xfinity for one, truck, and then either ARCA Gen 4, and then spin the GT off as its own league.
Yeah, I know we've kind of chatted about that a little bit, and I think that could be a lot of fun. Maybe GT3 and the Formula One could kind of pair up somehow.
Taka, I got a job for Taka, get to work. All right. On that note, frracingonline.com, at frracingonline on all social media. Please give us a follow on Twitch, YouTube, wherever you follow social media. We are there more than likely, with mainstream wise. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Take care.